Generally speaking, you don't have a budget. If you're making profit on ads, you keep spending money. It's like a supply-demand curve where you've got diminishing returns the more aggressive you get. The more aggressive you are versus your competitors for acquiring customers, if your average competitor, for example, is spending $5,000 a month, and you wouldn't know this, but let's hypothetically say that. If you were spending $10,000 a month and getting more customers than they are, maybe you're operating at twice the efficiency, so you're getting twice the customer volume that they are at $10,000 a month versus $5,000, your growth velocity is going to dramatically outpace them because you're doubling the size of your email database much quicker than they are, and that lifetime value is going to start pouring through.
Welcome, everyone. I'm DJ Sprague with my co-host, Scott Brandley. We have a great special guest today, Ryan Garrow from Logical Position. We're really excited to learn about PPC and the wonderful world of paid traffic.
Yeah. Ryan, how you doing, man?
Great. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah. So we've done business together for a few years now, working with Logical Position. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to have you on. Let me introduce everybody to you in case they don't know who you are. So Ryan Garrow is the Director of Partnerships and Client Solutions at Logical Position. And he's been leading digital marketing efforts for e-commerce brands of all sizes for over 15 years. He currently has 5 companies, and last year he exited the CPG brand. He helped take from 0 to 7 figures in 2 years. His focus is growing brands online through traffic.
So, Ryan, tell us what your path was to the world of pay-per-click.
It may actually be one of the stranger ways into the PPC world or digital marketing world. I was actually running sales for a company that did direct mail for mortgage companies, helping them refinance. This was back in 2008, 2009 after the crash, and I lost everything. I had a company that was doing bunch of stuff overseas and hadn't built a lot of protection around it. So if I lost, I was living with my parents. It was a glorious time I think I was 27, 28. It was a humbling experience. And so I was dialing for dollars and led a team doing that for direct mail. And we'd done that very successfully for a year. We had a big team. And in the same office, the owner of the business had started a digital marketing side of the business where he basically outsourced it, but he thought, hey, I can sell some stuff. So he had a couple sales guys and he's like, Garrow, you gotta manage them because I don't want to. And I'm like, oh, I know nothing about digital marketing. And they were kind of like the guys that probably dealt drugs on the side and went to lunch and got drunk. And I was like, I don't want to manage these guys. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, fast forward a few months, I just felt like, man, there's a shift coming and I don't see a future in direct mail for mortgage refinances. What we're doing it's got some headwinds. I just don't see it happen. Where rates go up, we're in trouble. And so I went to the sales org that I was managing and said, guys and girls, I think there's a change coming, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think we should all take the weekend and think about it, pray about it, do whatever you do, and we'll come back Monday. And if we're all on the same page, we'll do that. 100% of the team, and getting a sales org all aligned on the same actual decision it never happened. So something was in place that causes, but we all decided, we have to sell digital ads. Like we are not going to keep selling, paper mailers and have that be our path to success. So great. Killed off the digital mail sales team, left that business, started up paid search, ended up figuring out how to do it, hiring some very smart people, much smarter than me. I got very lucky on some of the hiring, but yeah, it was basically seeing the end of mail and saying, hey, what do we do now? And we started selling paid search, and I've learned it and been loving it ever since.
Thanks for sharing that. Get a little more insight into really how you got into this industry, because I always wondered, what the real origin was. So tell us what keeps you passionate about PPC after all these years. Why are you still fully engaged in PPC with all the other opportunities you could be pursuing?
I've always thought Google Ads and digital marketing was the great equalizer in marketing for small brands against big brands. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've loved, helping the David against Goliath type thing. And, we do work with Goliath and we work with Davids. It's not as important in that regard, but I've always just loved the opportunity that you could start any business competing with anybody and you could immediately have an ad next to the big incumbent competitor in your industry. And I just love that. I love growing businesses. And so I think it's been evolving over time. And I think it's, now we have other channels. And so it's more of digital, not just PPC, but there's, Meta, there's TikTok, Pinterest, Amazon, anything you can pay for a click and expect a return. That's really what I've evolve my thoughts of PPC, pay per click, you're paying per click or paying per view to grow your business at the end of the day. And I love the fact that if you've got a credit card and a website, you can start advertising and using these channels to grow a business.
Yeah, that direct attribution and being able to measure the ROI and the investment, putting together the strategy across multiple platforms, and really ultimately being in control of your traffic, provided you have the right campaign and strategy and budget. You can get as much traffic as you want.
Mm-hmm. You can.
So with AI and all the changes in Google, what, if any, changes do you see with PPC, with all of the new, AI generative search results and AI powered, ads, et cetera? What do you see happening, and how are you guys shifting to adjust to the new AI world?
Yes. I mean, I've said this a lot of times before, but really the only reason I have a job is because Google keeps changing. It's 15 years with Google, and every year there is something different that we have to look at, analyze, and pivot some strategies. So for us, this wasn't necessarily a surprise. It's just like, all right, there's another change. We need to go in and really understand how to take advantage of these things for our clients, so they can beat their competitors and grow, which is most of their goals. Google's been using AI for a while. So they were late in announcing it and talking about it. I will say that. They let Microsoft really jump the gun with ChatGPT, but Google's had AI running a lot of things on the back end for years. And so what I'm not liking on this, as with my core being an entrepreneur and starting businesses, this AI change with Google is really a big step forward for large advertisers with the budgets and the data. I think data is going to be the new valuation of it. The more data you have, the more customer data you have, the easier it's going to be to continue to grow, and the more valuable you're going to be as a company. When you're starting off, you don't have any data. You have no customers. Google has nothing on you to leverage this AI to go find you more customers that look like your existing customers. It's just not there. They don't have a pixel already in place on a small advertiser to say, how do we keep getting more conversions and let the AI do what it's supposed to do? If you're already spending six figures, that pixel is humming along and doing a lot of really great things. Step forward for big brands and big spends, and it's, I believe, a step backwards for small businesses. And it does kind of break my heart that it's either we're there or we're soon coming up to a time where you won't be able to start a business on Google with that traffic. Unless there's no competition, you're creating a new category. And even then it's going to be difficult because nobody knows what to search for. So it's kind of sad. But I understand why it's there and what Google's been doing, and they have to be taking these steps.
So what's your recommendation to the small entrepreneur or the startup? How do they compete? What would you tell if I'm a smaller e-commerce store? What would you tell me right now?
You'd better get more aggressive, because you can't stay small and comfortable where you're at. It is, with all of the AI making decisions for you, the rich are going to get richer. The bigger companies are going to get bigger, and it's going to become easier and easier to get bigger. It's very easy for an algorithm to create a monopoly because you're giving it a lot of data to accomplish its goals. And that's all that algorithm wants to do, is say, you give me these inputs and tell me to do this, I'm going to go do it. And small businesses usually don't have a lot of cash. And so they can't go in and jumpstart a pixel or an algorithm within Google or Meta to say, hey, here's all this data, keep going. I'm going to buy traffic to make this thing understand what I'm trying to accomplish and get it to go. And they usually set really bad goals and try to shoot for a 10x return on ad spend, because that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to spend $1 and get 10 so that I have a lot of profit and grow my business, bootstrapped and make money as I go. So small businesses have to think like big brands, and you've got to understand how they're thinking and what they're trying to do to keep you from jumping into the market, and play the game that they're playing. You're not going to change Google's rules or Google's game. You want to, you're in that avenue. It's Google's world. You understand that. The quicker you understand that, the better off you're going to be, and understand, hey, Google's going to make money. If you're going to try to fight that and say, forget you, Google, I want to make the money, not you, you're going to fight a losing battle. Google has very smart people that have been doing this for a very long time, longer than you've been, probably starting this new business. And understand that you're getting traffic, and Google's a vessel for that. And it's a customer acquisition tool, not a profit channel. So that would be my advice to anybody starting. And marketing online is not a profit channel for most brands. Get beyond that. Figure out how you're going to make money with repeat purchases and creating a good product and building a community of people that are passionate about your brand.
The back end, not the front end.
So next topic, What are some of the mistakes that you see that e-commerce companies make with PPC?
I mean, there's a lot, but like one of the first one come to mind is focusing on stupid metrics. I mean, I really thought, in 2024, I'd be done telling business owners to stop paying attention to bounce rates. Like, I still like, oh, my bounce rate's high. Okay, well, did you send them to a page that had the information they were looking for? Well, yeah, okay. They got the information, then they left. What's wrong with that? Like, it accomplished what it was supposed to do. Bounce rates don't matter. It can be a metric that helps you understand what's going on the website, but don't focus on stupid metrics in silos. They all work together to explain what's going on a site. And just like you can't take your conversion rate to the bank, nobody cares. They care about what's happening on that site. I can get you a 50% conversion rate on a site. You just cut out all the traffic of people that might not know what they're going to buy yet. And you're like, hey, I'm going to spend money on one brand keyword and you're going to get a great conversion rate. Congratulations. Banks don't care. So don't look at individual metrics and think that that's the end all be all metric for you to grow your brand. And I think there's not been enough time for most business owners to understand the types of traffic they're driving in a channel. And so like on Meta or the Meta platforms, Instagram and Facebook, WeChat, people are not actively searching there for a product. Maybe Facebook Marketplace aside, I am not going to Meta saying, hey, I need to buy a piece of gym equipment. I was looking for one in the marketplace, and now Meta is all excited about gym equipment in my feed. But that traffic doesn't have intent yet. That is, I'm there to connect with family, friends, or just be entertained on most social channels. I'm going to make a conversion outside of that platform at some other time. It's there. You're generating interest. So you're further up the intent funnel. Whereas if I go onto Google and I look for, a weight bench or some type of dumbbell, I have intent to find out more information about that product and likely make a purchase. And Google's got a lot of data around this. And so if you start seeing shopping ads on a search, generally speaking, Google knows that there's intent to purchase one of those products. So I think understanding where you're supposed to be, and for most brands, move up the funnel. Start at the bottom, capture that traffic where the demand exists, and then move to the next layer where you're creating some demand or you're getting interest. Because if you don't have the bottom of the funnel covered yet, you're going to have a really leaky bucket. Like you're going to invest a bunch in Meta, for example. Great. I saw your ad. I clicked, I interacted with the ad. I'm interested, but I keep scrolling and I go through it because, my sister posted some cat video and I'm laughing at that. And that's more important than me going and purchasing whatever you had in front of me. Later in the day, tomorrow, I'm going to go search Google for that product because maybe I don't remember your brand name. I'm like, oh, I was looking for XYZ. And then I see all the ads on Google. If you're not there, you've got no shot at getting that business. It's not going to happen. And so build from the bottom up for most brands. There's going to be exceptions all over the place, but understand which traffic is appropriate for where you are in business. The third one would be, this comes up a lot. I get this question a lot. Don't assume that because you see a competitor's website and you've seen their ad, you know anything about what they're doing. You don't. You can't compare yourself to a competitor saying, oh, their conversion rate must be 2%. You don't know that. They may have been on a podcast or been up on stage at some event and said, oh, we get this crazy conversion rate. Well, what kind of traffic went to that conversion rate? Was that a one page? Was that site-wide? Was that brand traffic going to a promotion page? Like if you discount your product 99%, guess what? Your conversion rate goes up. So don't compare yourself. You have to understand what your business is trying to accomplish, what your margins are, and get better for your business. I have a good friend in the conversion rate space, and he says the best conversion rate is one that's improving. Like you might be at 1% and you might be the best you have no idea because nobody's going to tell you truthfully as your competitor what the conversion rate is. Just keep getting better than you were yesterday and you're going to keep getting better results.
Love your insights. They're just so appropriate. So kind of a spin on Scott's question, what would be the 3 critical questions that an e-commerce brand should ask their existing or potential PPC agency?
Yeah, challenging one here because sometimes I get asked no questions and I'm surprised. So I always like being challenged. And I think if somebody's going to, run your digital marketing, they are an investor of your money. You're expecting some type of return. Maybe it's break even, maybe it's who knows, but they're managing your money. And I'm not going to go hire a financial advisor without, understanding who they are, what they do, and what their strategies are, and ask some difficult questions. So I think you should do the same thing for an agency. And so I would want to know, have they ever owned their own ecom business. Like, I've put my money where my mouth is. If they are the best in the world at driving traffic and growing ecom businesses, one would think they have put the money where their mouth is. And they've done it and proven it that with their own money. If they don't have faith in what they're doing, they're not going to spend their money where their mouth is. They're not going to start their own ecom brand. So ask that question, find out why they haven't. I have a wife that is very risk averse because I enjoy risk. It's fun. I like taking shots, but I balance that. My wife doesn't let me go start 20 businesses, even though I want to. I think it's important. And I had this come up yesterday. I had a client that signed up with us says, well, what have I not asked you that I should have? And I was like, well, it's easy to manage a relationship with a client and when everything is going right. If all the numbers are going up and to the right, there's black numbers coming out of the P&L, everybody's happy with growth. It's very easy. It's kind of on autopilot. It's not challenging there. Like I would ask this, what happens when you don't meet my goals as a business owner? What do you do? Like, how do we solve that problem? Because that's when experts are valuable, is when the market shifts, competitors come in and mess things up. You start shrinking your sales volume. You have products stuck on a ship in China, so you have to turn ads off. Like, how do you start them back up? Things are going to go sideways in a business. Every business I've been involved in, and there's been a lot, nothing has gone according to plan. We make the plans, start executing against them, and then we pivot. And so the most valuable agencies are going to have seen it before, know how to pivot, and how to get you back on track. And that's going to be an important question to understand their process for making a left turn when we thought we were going right. Like, okay, the road moved. And then I want to know, like, every agency's got their wheelhouse, I would say, around who do they serve the best? And so I would want to know what companies win and what companies don't win when they're working with your agency. Nobody's got a 100% retention rate. So somebody's left your company, unless you've got one client and they haven't left yet, which I wouldn't want to work with that agency and be client number 2. So I will say that. But understanding that, hey, this type of company does really, really well. And the person talking to you should have that data in the back of their mind. It shouldn't have to be like, well, let me pull up a case study and go find that on my web. No, it should be like, oh, we have this company that did this and it worked really well. This company did this and it did really bad. And here's why. And here's what you need to do to succeed with our company.
Wow, that's some really astute answers. I love the question, what happens when things go wrong? Because it's going to. Right? Things are going to go wrong. Like you said, every business has issues, challenges, changes in the economy, changes in the competitive posturing, changes in supply lines, you name it, changes in competitive keywords. So how do you shift? How do you pivot? And how do you do that with a deep well of wisdom and experience that honestly, somebody like yourself can bring to the table? And I'm not knocking it, but a 20-something who's never done it and never had an e-commerce store and never dealt with that issue really doesn't know what to do. And so I think that's one of the great things that you bring to the table and obviously help Logical Position with is that deep wisdom. Been there, done that. Here's how we did it. Here's the kind of industries that we typically have better success with. Here's ones we don't even want to talk to because we really can't help. That's really astute. So thanks for sharing that. That was a fabulous response.
Yeah. So I have a question. If somebody decides they want to go into the PPC world and spend some money, how does a business know how to allocate a PPC budget? How much should they spend and why?
The real answer is stop sticking to a budget. Like if you're going to collect revenue from the conversion on the website before you pay the credit card for the click. So it shouldn't be a cash issue. There's exceptions to this, but generally speaking, you don't have a budget. If you're making profit on ads, you keep spending money. It's like a supply demand curve where you've got diminishing returns the more aggressive you get. And so the more aggressive you are versus your competitors for acquiring customers, if your average competitor, for example, is spending $5,000 a month, and you wouldn't know this, but let's hypothetically say that if you were spending $10,000 a month and making, getting more customers than they are, you're operating at twice the efficiency. So you're getting twice the customer volume that they are at 10,000 a month versus 5,000. Your growth velocity is going to dramatically outpace them because you're doubling the size of your email database much quicker than they are. And that lifetime value is going to start pouring through the website, and the profit coming from future orders is going to be much greater. And so don't necessarily think about it from a budget standpoint. But I do know that people need guardrails and places to start. And so I will give some numbers. So I would say, if you're going to jump into e-commerce and you're going to do it with less than $1,000 of spend. Don't pay an agency to manage that, generally speaking. And I would say there may actually be better places to spend $1,000 a month than on the Google platform to drive traffic or Microsoft platform. Depending on where you're at in the business and what type of business it is, there may not be enough demand you can capture at the right rate with $1,000 a month. You might not get the pixel going. If your click costs are averaging $5 or $6, you're not going to get there very quickly. And it could be a long time at $1,000 a month. And you might not get that algorithm, that AI that Google's built on Performance Max campaigns off the ground. And so I would say if you're not comfortable spending $2,500 in e-commerce to drive traffic from Google, think about a different method of driving traffic potentially. There might be it's a time money conversation. If you have more time than money, you're going to do a lot of the grunt work yourself. If your business is already going and you've got more money than time, you're going to hire experts and you're going to scale it through their expertise and their ability to manipulate the platforms to grow your business for you.
Wonderful. Now for our signature $1 million question, Ryan.
Love it.
As an expert in PPC, what is the one thing you would recommend to a brand today that would create the greatest impact on their business?
I would say it's have better goals for your marketing. And most business owners don't align their marketing goals with their business goals. In fact, I have a client that just came on board. We met in Boston, had a great meeting with Google, and we sat down and said, well, what are you trying to get your Google ads to do for you to grow your business? He's like, well, I need to get a 5X. Like, okay, well, I know from our previous conversations, your margin is better than 50% on your products. So why do you have a 5X goal? How have you come to that goal? Well, 5 years ago, we were able to get that. I'm like, oh, that is a dumb goal. You've been getting a 3 to 4X, which is profitable. And I'm going to challenge you to say, instead of spending, I think he was spending about $50,000 a month. I was like, I think you should be spending probably closer to $80,000 or $90,000 a month and maybe a 2.5X to get more customers, because we can see the path of them coming back and buying from you. And if you're not showing at the top part of Google, you don't get the sale. They're not going to find you. Your competitor gets them. And so I talk about, I happen to be more aggressive than most people in business. And so I get to talk about kind of the warm fuzzy, where I know that if I got that customer, my competitor did not get that customer. And even if I didn't make a lot of money on that order, it does make me feel good that my competitor did not get that customer. I have the data. I get to use that data and power Google ads to grow bigger than theirs. So I can't discount the warm fuzzy in my world. But punchline is, most business owners have bad goals, and we have to go reinvestigate that. So relook at your goals to understand what you're trying to accomplish, and make sure where you're directing marketing dollars is actually taking you to where you want to go as a business.
Fantastic. Another great response. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you about this really exciting world of PPC and business growth and paid traffic, and really taking control of your brand and creating the right goals, the right budgets, or not budgets, but strategies, and moving the needle, with somebody that knows how to do it.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I love talking business growth, and I love helping businesses grow whenever possible. So I appreciate the time you allowed me to have.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate your time today, Ryan. Anybody that's watching, go check out Logical Position. Like Ryan said, we've used them and we worked with them for many years, and they're an amazing company to work with. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you can get your $1 million idea. We look forward to talking to you next week with another great podcast.
And don't forget to download your free copy of Reputation King at reputationking.com. Thanks, Ryan. See you next time.